We go, as I said, eking out an existence on these sparse plains. There's a few wildebeest, a few Thompson's gazelles, and there is a very important reason why we are here. We are in search of the largest coalition of male cheetah ever recorded. We're looking for the 5 musketeers. My name is my name is not. I was about to mock Dangerous Dave. Yes, that's you. And now I've forgotten how I was going to mock him. My name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave East, or The Dish, on camera, and we're in the eastern section of the Mara, and we are in search of those 5 glorious boys that Scott has been privileged enough to spend so much time with. Now, as you can see, there's an ostrich, 3 wildebeest, and a Thompson's gazelle, and a couple of zebra around. You see the ostrich, Dave? In the distance. But the last report of those 5 boys was from this vicinity. But don't worry, if we don't have luck with the 5 boys, we've got a few other tricks up our sleeve. And I'm hoping that 1 or 2 or more of our tricks will pay off. But while we scan the driest section of the Masai Mara at the moment, it sounds like Byron has got some wonderful elephants to show you.
Stand by, Tayla. Oh, and what a wonderful sighting to start with. Look at this. We've just found some elephant that have been drinking down at Djuma Dam. You can see they've splashed themselves full of water and they are dust bathing. And hi, my name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is Sebastian. And it's great to be back again on Safari Live, and what a wonderful start. Lovely herd of elephant right out in front of us, busy feeding and dust bathing. They covered themselves in water earlier, I think, a bit of mud to cool themselves down. It's a lovely warm afternoon here in Djuma, and then also a bit of the dust bathing gets rid of the ticks and the insects that sit on them. There you can see that bit of a dust cloud at the moment behind that elephant. You can also see that she's, as I mentioned, splashing some water on her. You can see the moisture glistening on her forehead. And thank you very much. Apparently everybody's welcoming me back. It's good to be back, as I said. Always lovely coming back for a while. So yeah, and I think I'm here for the next 2 weeks or so. Looking forward to some time in the bush again, although I have been in the bush, different areas. Was in the Timbavati recently, so it's a lot drier up there than it is here. I was amazed to see the difference in terrain and vegetation. Always nice to be back on Safari Live. And of course the elephants, back with all the elephants. Nice start, lovely start. I'm going to try and move a little bit closer for us. Sebastian, let me just check. Now we've had a bit of a cold front moving through the rest of South Africa. It's been very cold. There was snow on the Drakensberg Mountains a few days ago, and it was really, really chilly. It's nice to have this warm weather over here, though, even though it was a bit cooler around here. Oh, look at it. This little one's having a lot of fun with this branch, trying to break it, trying to chew some of that bark off of the branch. So as I was saying, to be out in the sun now on this warm afternoon watching elephant is it's amazing, very special. There's I see quite a number of elephants spread out around this area. They're moving off towards a bit of a drainage line in the distance, but these ones are nice and close. Oh, look at this female. She's going to walk right past us. Isn't that great? Lovely. You can see her whole body. She's covered in a bit of moisture and a bit of mud. Been spraying herself, obviously just to help cool herself down. Isn't this nice? It's quite close, very relaxed. It looks like she's almost used her tusks a little bit to loosen some mud. You can just see there's mud on the tusks there. Even though she seemed very relaxed, I still just want to keep an eye on her and make sure she's not threatened by us in any way, but clearly not very relaxed. I can actually smell that mud and moisture on them as they walked past. And amazing to hear the sound they make as they rub up against one another. Those very, almost, well, I've never touched an elephant, but it's a very rough hide from what it sounds like, especially when they rub up against each other. Thick, rough hide. Looks like that one's trying to suckle over there. Is it? Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Just shows you even some of the youngsters, even at an age of about, I would guess that one must be close to, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe 6 years old probably. It's quite a large young one, and still trying to suckle, trying to get a bit of milk. Those youngsters, I have seen young elephant even at that age still trying their luck, trying to get some milk from the females, some nutrients, additional nutrients, especially in this dry season. Don't forget, everyone, we are completely live, so send us your questions, #SafariLive, or your comments. We always love hearing from the viewers, and we'll happily answer them for you. You can see that female standing dead still. Often the elephants, what they do is as they move, they'll stop and they'll listen and just use their trunk. They'll smell the area, just basically assess the area. Is there any danger? Are there any predators around? They're always very cautious, and then they'll move again. But they do stop and take time to listen and smell. Now, curious one, you asked if those were alates flying around that elephant. No, definitely not. There's not enough moisture at the moment. Alates are the winged termites, and we usually only see them come out after rain. When the soil is softened, you'll see those alates, those winged termites, come out and start flying around. There are a lot of insects still around, though, even though it's winter. I think those were some flies and that around those elephant, but not alates, not the winged termites. Let's see if we can get a view of some more of them. I heard some branches breaking down in this drainage line not far from us, just off to my left. Now, Nikki, you asked if I saw the white lions or any of the white lions in the Timbavati. Sebastian, can we get those Ellies through there? Is that okay? Nikki, I didn't see the pride of the white lion that the white lions are in, but I'm not sure now. I read somewhere that one of the adult lionesses, white lionesses, died recently, so I don't know if there are white lions in that pride at the moment. I need to double check actually, because I think they're called the Jacaranda Pride, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's their name, but yeah, I didn't see them while I was up there. I've seen that pride before, but not when there were white lions in them. But yeah, apparently the one lioness died recently, so I'm not sure if there are any white lions around in that pride at the moment. I can hear there are still some ahead of us. Let's see if we can get a better view of these elephant. Alright, well, let's see if I can find more of these elephant. But while I do that, Brent is in the mire and he's in search of some cheetah this afternoon.
Welcome back, Dave. This on the other side of the river. There's something running at high speed. Just come out a little bit. Sorry, to the left, where there's the gap there. Something was running. There we go. What is that running there, Dave? It looks like some zebra. A little bit to the left. Zebra. And what were they running from? So, as we know, those cheetah boys cross the river frequently, so they could have easily snuck across to the other side, but we're working in the area where they last were. Now, we haven't moved more than about 200 meters from where we last were, and there the grass was yellow and dry and pale, and just that little bit of rain has fallen over here, and you can see the grass has already got a lovely green tinge to it, and that's what drives the migration, how the animals move constantly. Even the tiniest bit of rain can give that little bit of extra nutrients to that grasses and keep the animals moving, which is of course really good for the ecosystem. The topi, however, he's going to keep this little spot to himself and hope the ladies come to visit him. Now, we're hoping that the cheetah would be lying under the one or two only trees up here, but alas, so far no luck. Well, we're going to leave that topi and keep moving. Now, it's quite interesting. Dave and myself have covered about 90 kilometers already today. From when we left camp, we came in through Musiara. I'm trying to get some height up here while I'm driving. So, this is the nice thing about Land Rovers. Let me just get my earpiece sorted out. If you get it in the right gear, you don't even need to touch the pedals up here. So, we've covered about 80 kilometers, 90 kilometers today already, and the difference between the different areas of the Mara we've driven through in terms of the amount of grass, the amount of wildebeest, the amount of other game has been quite spectacular. And we came from literally just over this ridge in front of us, and there must have been 100, 200,000 wildebeest there. And on grass as short as this, but they've had a lot more rain, so it's really, really green. And the wildebeest are all over that area. Now we've come here, this has had less rain, and we can see some wildebeest in the distance on the other side, but really not a lot happening here. There are some wildebeest, some zebra, some Thompson's gazelles, and obviously the resident topi. And I would venture as far as to say as these Thompson's gazelles that are around us are also resident. A couple of warthogs, but of course not what we're looking for. And what we're looking for is a doa achini, which means a spot on the ground, which is a local nickname for cheetah. And of course, if you want the local nickname for leopard, it's doa ju, a spot up in the air or in the tree. Now, this area is also quite good for leopards, especially as you head down towards the Tayla River. But we are going to keep going. We have Nicholas, who's our ranger, on the back with us, and Nicholas is working hard, getting hold of all his friends to try find out exactly where the cheetah are. So we have got all irons in all fires trying to bring you these glorious cheetah. And the beauty about being on a live safari is you literally never know, and Kirsten's probably been trying to talk to me for a while. Sorry, Kirsten. You never know what's going to happen. Let me just plug that in. Did I miss the road? No, I didn't. There we go. Kirsten. There we go. Smiley is wondering how am I driving with no foot on the pedal? Well, I'm in second gear, in second gear low range. So in four-wheel drives you have high range and low range. So the engine's running at very low revs, not moving very quickly. And the reason I'm doing it here is I can see there's no real need for me to have to change gear or control the pedals. So it enables me to sit up, which for me is quite useful because I can see a lot more from up here than I would if I was sitting down in the seat. And as I say, we are desperately searching for these cheetah. Now, Jamie is actually, or probably directly opposite us, over that ridge over there, where there's a lot of wildebeest at the moment. So hopefully she'll have some luck with either the Salt Lick Pride or the Egyptian Goose Pride, both of which are in that area. But at the moment, I'm desperate to find out where these cheetah might have disappeared to. Now, it seems like Jamie, who is in and out of those rolling valleys in the south of the Mara Triangle, is come out of a valley and is now on top. So let's go say hello.
I am indeed, and a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. I'm sorry I'm late. I tried to follow the wildebeest, but apparently our signal wasn't quite up to it. And just a quick introduction, my name is Jamie. This afternoon, VM is on camera with me once again. And I said I'd follow the line of wildebeest that we saw this morning on the Sunrise Safari. But unfortunately, where it led me was back towards the Tanzanian border, away from our signal, and essentially across the borderline. We probably shouldn't cross that. What we thought we'd show you instead was scavenger bath time and rest time. Earlier on, when I went past to this particular area, and it is one of the what we in South Africa call in Kenya call a murrum pit. It's full of water. It's where they've dug out sand to cover road and anything else like that. And it, of course, attracts a number of different creatures. In this case, a collection of creatures that probably won't be seen on any kind of a poster. Marabou Storks, fat and happy from the number of dead wildebeest that they've been scavenging off. And as Wim said to me earlier today, they are, shame, they are so ugly that they make the wildebeest look gorgeous in comparison. They really are not particularly attractive birds, very important birds, and actually quite endangered birds or quite threatened birds. Large, very, very large stork species. But my goodness me, they were not at the front of the queue when looks were handed out. You can see the white on their legs, and that is because not only do they have this unfortunate appearance, but they also, in order to cool themselves down, they actually defecate on their legs. So what you're looking at there is uric acid. Obviously, birds don't urinate. They have highly, highly concentrated, that's how they get rid of their nitrogen. And as a result, and Dina, you say that you've never seen so many Marabou Storks at one time. They've all gathered together at the water's edge because despite their... Oh, there goes the heron. He, of course, is here for an entirely different reason, and that's to catch some fish. But the Marabou Storks are here, along with the vultures that we saw earlier, although they seem to have departed. They're gathered here not as some kind of meeting out of The Godfather, which is kind of what it looks like, but they've gathered here to wash themselves, to clean themselves after feeding off the rotting carcasses, something that vultures do as well. They're, apart from the little fact that they have to defecate on their legs to cool down, they are actually quite fastidious creatures, which is, I suppose, a bit of a strange sentence. Yeah, have a good scratch, good stretch. They're very somber looking, aren't they? Directors. Let's just go a little bit ahead to see if the vultures are around there. I know what that sound is, Liam. It's my windscreen wipers. Turn my windscreen wipers on. That's been puzzling me for far too long, seeing as how often I do that. Obviously, we don't need windscreen wipers. Debbie in Vancouver. It's still a little bit of a sore point, to be honest, Debbie. No, I have not yet seen an art park. Brent has seen several. I have not seen one. I promise you there is some kind of, I don't know. I don't suppose I could say it's an aardvark curse, but there's something about me that aardvarks really clearly don't like. And I mean, I've been to all the areas Brent's been to. I've searched. I've driven around night after night after night in the dark for hours on end. And no, I have not seen an aardvark. Am I going to take it personally? Yes. Yes, I am at this stage. I was told there would be aardvarks practically running, gambling next to me. Not one. Deeply hurt and disappointed, and slightly concerned. They're avoiding. This afternoon, the Lions don't do that. Let's head back across to Byron.
Right, now those elephants have moved off, unfortunately. They moved away from us through the thicket. So we left them. Some of them went down in the drainage line. But what we'll do is we're going to drive around and see what else we can find. It's so nice to be back in the bush again. I was in Johannesburg for a short while. And even that, I think, is long enough being in the city. But it was still fun. Sure, it's really warm here. Very, very nice temperature. Lovely, even for... And I hear Tristan was saying that there's still a lot of owls around, so that's great news. Hopefully going to find some owls. I want to find a owl. Apparently Tayla said she had, so I'm going to be looking around there carefully over the next few days and see if I can find a giant eagle owl. Beautiful birds, so we'll see what we can find. Helps if they call, then you can try and pinpoint where they are. Now it sounds like Tayla has fended off the gremlins and she is out and about, and she's going to try and see if she can find some of those Ellies that we saw earlier. Let's go and say hi to her.
Byron, I don't know if you can call what I'm doing fending off gremlins, because my route is now going to consist of Gallagher Shortcut, Mvubu, the dam, quarantine, and back around again for the rest of the afternoon. So that's going to be really exciting. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Senzo. And as you know, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now, so send us all your questions. Hashtag Safari Live, and you're welcome to chat to us on the YouTube chat too. Now, I've got lots of interesting things to tell you, of course. Where I was now, Bundu bashing, we obviously relocated on the lions, the Nkuhuma lions, who have been MIA for the past couple of days. And obviously there was a sighting this morning, just as Tristan was trying to relocate on the lions for the second time. In between that moment, one of the Nkuhuma lionesses, we suspect the youngest one, actually walked across the road with one very young cub, and she had another one in the mouth. So that makes two new little Nkuhuma cubs. However, one of the other guides from Elephant Plains, he said that she then came back and she was contact calling again. And myself, Tristan and Sebastian actually went out after game drive, and as we were approaching the same spot where he'd left them, that lioness was coming back from obviously the den side. So we wonder if there aren't more cubs, and obviously because they're very young, they're potentially anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks old, so quite tiny still. Able to, follow mom, but really still relying on her quite a bit. We wonder if she hadn't gone back to go and fetch the others. Now, I went and went back, and they were laying on Triple M on the road in the shade. Then they looked like they were getting to move. A couple of the lionesses were standing up, sort of stretching, and then one lioness got up and started walking in the drainage. Now, in order to be able to establish where exactly the den site is, well, I had to go in and follow her. So I kept my distance, and we followed her quite far off the road, which I'm really happy about, because Triple M is a very, very busy road. So she's quite far in the drainage line, and she went underneath a gardenia tree, which we could not see anything else after that, and she sat under there. We did hear a couple of little contact calls, so I didn't really get to see how many little ones were there. Now, unfortunately, as we were sitting there, I was trying to hear and trying to see if I could see any movement through the overhanging tree. The rest of the pride arrived. So we've actually had to completely close that area off, because those cubs are very young to sort of be viewed just yet, and also because it is so thick, and these cubs are obviously very new, they've only obviously been recently introduced to the pride, it's important that we give them a bit of space and a bit of time out so they can sort of establish what's going on over there. So we're going to be chatting to obviously Rex and Aubrey and Taxon over the next few days, because the den site is on Djuma, so they will dictate as to how the sightings are going to be run. But lion cubs, unlike leopard cubs, they actually habituate so quickly to the vehicle. I can promise you right now, you could even have one car there and you'd have to be a little bit quiet, but they'd be used to the sound of your voice. They wouldn't really mind the car turning off and starting too much. It would take them probably a few days to get used to the cars. It's pretty amazing how quickly they habituate to things. Leopard cubs, a little bit later, but we also don't want to push the boundaries, and it's important that we give and we respect these animals. But how awesome is that? The Nkuhuma pride continues to grow. So I suppose our little racetrack loop that we're going to be doing this afternoon, maybe we can do ourselves a challenge. Maybe we'll see how many different types of birds occur in a small area. We'll have to try and map it out. Maybe I'll put my GPS on my phone and figure out how big that sort of round route is, and see how many bird species or so we can get in there, or how many different herds of elephants come through, just until we can get this gremlin problem with Wendy all sorted. But I did think, oh, there is an elephant. I did see a big grey giant, and there's one here. It looks like a bull. I think it's probably the same herd that Byron had. Let me go forward and we'll look up through this gap. Elephants! There he is. Hello, big boy. I'm sure it's the same. Are you the same elephants that we've just been seeing for the past couple of drives? Hello, boy. We'll only really be able to tell when we start to see some of the females, I suppose. You're not too sure about us. I'm sorry, I did drive over a stick and I made it crack. And I don't look anything like an elephant, so I can understand why you're surprised. He's still sussing us out. Now, Donna, you're wondering if elephants would ever eat anything that would perhaps be poisonous, or do they tend to avoid those types of plants? So I'm sure if it's a little one on its own and it doesn't really know what it should and shouldn't be eating, it might try something that wouldn't taste very nice. But they do learn from the adults what they should and shouldn't sort of eat. Another thing you must remember, we were chatting about it this morning, is about their digestive systems. They don't have particularly good digestive systems, which I suppose when you're eating something toxic might actually work in your favor. And elephants are known to eat one of the most toxic plants in the world, the euphorbia. Now, that has got a milky latex, and if it comes into contact with your eye, particularly the euphorbia cooperi, the deadly euphorbia, it can cause temporary blindness if you're lucky. It can also cause big burns and boils on your skin, and you don't want to get it into your bloodstream, because they say about a drop of it will send you into cardiac arrest. Let me see if I can get another view. It's okay, boy, don't be frightened by us. Now, even though because he's a larger elephant, if he shows that he's not comfortable with us, we might just let him be until he relaxes a little bit. But he is there. So it really just depends. But they're pretty good. They'll leave most things that aren't supposed to be eaten alone. But like I said, they can withstand small amounts of the euphorbia. So it just shows you how little of the plants they actually are digesting. And again, we were also talking this morning about animals sort of medicating themselves with medicinal plants. And they'll use that particular thing for maybe any stomach ailments. It might help them out. The black rhinos will also eat it. Sometimes kudu, and I've also seen giraffe having a nibble. I'm sure there were more elephants around here, hey Senzo? I think when we stopped and I was telling you the lion story, I thought I saw 2, but they can't go too far, can they? Let's see if we get him again. Let's give him one last try, and then if he turns and runs away, maybe if he goes up onto quarantine, we watch from a distance, that might be a bit better. What's wrong, boy? Why are you so nervous? Nah, he's not happy. He's a little bit unsettled. Like I said, if he carries on towards quarantine, we might catch him 10, 15 minutes and he should relax. Now, Mr. P, all the way from Canada, you're wondering if I've ever been pushed by an elephant. Well, I've had an elephant use the back bar of my car as a rubbing post before. She had, the skin around their tusks. Apparently that was quite itchy, and that made for the perfect spot to rub up on. So she gave myself and my guests an absolute heart attack. We were watching a herd of elephants in front of us, and she snuck up behind us and did that. But it was nothing malicious. She was just going, I'm just having a scratch, and I sort of then clapped my hands at her. And she looked at me and as if to say, excuse me, who do you think you are? And then she carried on rubbing again. So that was quite funny. Eventually, I just put my foot on the clutch and actually rolled forward and away from her, and she had her nose out of joint about that. But then she carried on. I've also had an elephant put its bum up against the car once. It walked past, and then it decided that it wanted to turn around, and then it was so long and wide that it ended up where he pushed up against my car. But again, nothing malicious. And then realized what he did, a young bull, and panicked and then ran away from the car. But other than that, those are my sort of up close and personal encounters. I hope to never touch wood, to never ever get pushed by an elephant. That would be horrible. But we'll leave this fella. Let's let him go about his day. Perhaps we'll go to Gallagher Pan. Maybe they've stopped to have another drink. Oh, there's one elephant. Shall we have a quick look at this one elephant? Drinking water. It's also a bull. Hi, bull. Not quite as big as and impressive as the one we have just seen. Don't waste water like that. What are you doing? Keep it in the pool. My dad would be very upset with that elephant. He'd be shouting, going, "Stop splashing! Keep the water in the pool." That was, I think, those words were embedded into my brain while my younger brother and I, we were always doing bomb drops and somersaults and jumping on those little boogie boards and trying to stand up and creating all the waves. And of course we know how precious water is. So he did. He's had a nice bath, having a drink of water, or you're just playing. Just like the cool feeling of water on your trunk. Oh no, there we go. Having a sip. And I'm sure that they're happy that this cold weather has moved on. It's lovely warm afternoons again, which is great for all of us. Hopefully we'll get some more swimming elephant sightings before the dams all dry up. Isn't that a lovely sound? Yeah, he's having a rest too. Look how relaxed he is. He's completely comfortable with our presence. The fact that he's resting one of his back legs. Right, we'll sit with this Ellie bull for as long as he stays at the water. Let's go across to Brent in the Mara and some baboons.
I think we're live. We had some break-up in comms there, but if we are, hi! So, we have been looking in the wrong area. Apparently the boys have booked out and headed east to between Talek and Kikarok. So, we're doing the same thing. And as you can see, not much in terms of migration around these parts. Now, I've actually spent a lot of time in this area, and this is the Ronkai Pride area, these undulating valleys here. Actually, one of the areas I've seen the most leopard. I've seen about 5 different leopard in this river system that is running parallel to us here. So we will keep our eye out. So we're heading to an area called Balloon Crossing. Which is, let me have a look for Dave, let me show you where it is there. So Talek's there, Kikarok's there, so Balloon Crossing somewhere about 7 or 8 kilometers that way. In the sunshine, but I think over that next little So we're going to put our pedal to the metal, our foot to the floor, while we try to get towards those boys. While we do that, let's go back to Madam McCurdy and her friend the elephant.
So we're still with our Ellie. Sorry that the baboons ran away. That's unfortunate. But our dear elephant friend is coming closer towards us now, which is quite nice. He's decided he's not going to stand on the far end of the dam. He's going to come around. And maybe if we're lucky enough, he sprays some water our way. I'm also feeling a little bit on the warm side after all that excitement with the lions. That was very cool to see, of course. I think he's heard me say, stop splashing water outside of the pan, because he's now spraying the water just around his feet, around his ankles. That'd be a good spot to cool yourself down, because again, there's lots of blood vessels around the back of their, and all around their feet. We often see lots of ticks and biting flies going for that area. So it might be another technique to try and cool yourself down faster. Hello, lovely boy. He's just smelling us slightly. Don't come and give us any hassles today, big man. I'm just watching him. Hey! I'm watching you. Don't even try your nonsense with me. Thank you. Yeah, you can relax and walk off. Don't do it. Don't start with me. I've got Senzo on the back of the car and he's got a big stick. He's showing off. Typical arrogance of a young elephant bull that can't quite mate with the females just yet. Must be very frustrating for him. Not quite being the top dog, especially because he's got a bigger, stronger friend who seems to be a little bit on the shyer side. And just tried to come and assert his dominance over. He's going to come again too. I'm just going to stand my ground here because he... Hey! You cannot do that to the cars. You are a troublemaker. I'm going to turn my car around so I can face him. Because he thinks he's brave, that he gets behind me and then that's what he comes to try and do. So did you get that sense? Or sorry, I was too busy watching him. So you saw that, he goes, no, okay, fine, okay, sorry, Mom. Sure, I didn't mean to, have you shout at me. Oh, I was just trying to be sorry. And he goes, I'm going to come again. So typical of an elephant bull. It's very important that you don't put up with nonsense like that from a bull of that size, and we talk about it often because that height and that weight, they could quite easily just sneeze close to you and blow you over. So we don't want an elephant bull like that to learn that he can chase cars, and that's why we do put our foot down. You make a little bit of noise and now he's gone, and hopefully he won't take that tone again with another vehicle. Otherwise, I'm sure he'll meet the same thing. The other tactic you can do, of course, is sit very quietly and let the elephant bull stand above you. I don't quite like that, because if he does decide to have a change of heart and turn nasty, there's very little you can do when an elephant is standing 30 centimeters away from your car. So I opt to give him a warning and say I won't tolerate that, and I do this with all the elephants all the time from a distance. I'm not into that intimidation process. It doesn't work for me. But we'll go around and we'll see if we can find some other elephants other than naughty bulls. However, Byron has managed to find some that are happily feeding.
And I have indeed, Tayla. It looks like it's an elephant afternoon for all of us, and actually a really large herd. They spread out all over both sides of the road, way back behind us, in the distance, in the thickets, but there's a lot of elephant around here. These ones are nice and close, but if you look behind us, you might see a few more. See there are a few over there too. So a number of elephant, like I said, spread out all over in the distance. Some you won't be able to see, but these ones are nice and close to us. Kerpel, you asked what my best elephant experience is. Well, I must be honest, I've been very fortunate. I've had so many great elephant sightings. Some of my favorites, though, are elephant sightings on foot, and an experience with elephants, viewing them on foot and getting quite close to them. I would say those are usually my favorites. But sitting, watching elephants swimming, as we've seen a number of times on Safari Live, those are also very special and amazing to watch. But I would have to say, viewing them on foot, when you're walking close to these huge animals, and they are comfortable with you being close by, that is an amazing experience. And I think those would be my best elephant experiences. I was just saying to Sebastian, it's so lovely being back again, and this fresh air and just driving around. I often feel, when you out of the bush, even though I was only out of the bush, I suppose, for a week or week and a half, but you get back and I find it so relaxing, just driving around and appreciating the wildlife and the warm sun and the breeze and the beautiful colors. It's very, very relaxing. Vedette, you asked if the elephant have the same number of toes on both front and hind legs. Now, I'm scared I get this wrong now. There are, and let me double check. I think there are 4 in the front and 5 in the back, or vice versa, the other way around. I'll just see if I can double check it quickly. Hold on a second. I'm now confused. I think it's 4 toes in the front, 5 in the back. But let me double check for you quickly. Just see, I'm checking one of this tracking book. I wonder if they've got sorry, 5 toes on the front foot and 4 on the hind. See, that's I thought I got confused there. So 5 toes on the front foot and then 4 toes on the back foot. So that's those are the toes on the elephant. Luckily I got the number right, Seb, at least.
5 and 4. Not 2 and 3.
Not 1 and 6. Yeah, so 5 toes on the front foot, 4 toes on the hind foot. See, just a week away and already start forgetting things. I can see there are a lot of birds around those elephants too. Every now and then you might see there's a little fork-tailed drongo that was flying around, and as these elephants are feeding, they disturb a lot of insects, and those insects that are around. And you see one there, and there we go. And those little birds will then try snatch up some insects as they're disturbed by these big elephants. There it goes. Lovely. All right, well, as I said, an elephant afternoon so far for all of us. Tayla's managed to find, I think, another bull. Let's go have a look and see what she's up to with her elephant.
I was hoping we were just going to be able to sit here and he was going to walk towards us, but he seems to have stopped behind the thicket, and I promise there's actually an elephant there. Can you believe it? He's hidden amongst just some twigs. There really aren't many leaves around at the moment. Oh, he's changed direction. He's now coming towards us. It is a different elephant bull, so we're on our 3rd one now for the afternoon, which is quite cool. If you're watching the dam cam, he was the one that was playing down at the water's edge. He's got quite a nice set of tusks on him, doesn't he? Let's see if his behavior is going to be slightly different from his, well, one, I'm sure they're mates. I'm sure they've bumped heads before. Hello, boy. He's smelling us, that's for sure. Still smelling us. Now, Gremlins General, you're wondering if elephants get hurt when they step on sort of thorns and things. And no, not necessarily. You might find that the younger elephants' feet are a little bit more soft and sensitive. You often see them, if they have stood on something, they'll stop and they'll pull it out from underneath their foot, or they try their absolute best. However, when you're walking on terrain like the elephants do, your feet become calloused quite quickly, and protecting your feet, really. So I don't think that they necessarily would worry about thorns and things like you and I do. Like when we had to walk barefoot in the African bush, my goodness, I'd be crying with all the thorns and stones and spines and things that we would stand in. Just going to turn the car just slightly. He hasn't really splashed himself. Now I know there's a log here and I don't want to drive into the log. Since there's a log gone now. Thanks. My boy. No. What's wrong with you boys today? Is it me? Do I smell like lions or something? They don't want to have anything to do with me. They're not even that fella. He didn't act ugly towards me like that other elephant did. I showed him, though. He just sort of smelt me, and then when I turned the car, he picked up the pace and moved away. So we shall leave that elephant as well. Maybe I need to go and change clothes. Well, Senzo's, well, spirit animal, I think, is a lion. Now, we'll just drive about for a little bit. Oh, here's an Impala and a starling. Wonderful. Look at all the animals we've got. Ellie, you were wondering about oxpeckers and if they groom elephants, or if they don't really sort of care much for it. I've never seen an oxpecker on an elephant. Funny enough, I have seen egrets, however, which are those white birds, sitting on their backs, but not a oxpecker. They don't really have fine sort of hair like an impala does or a kudu does, and especially with the red-billed oxpeckers, the types of ticks that they're going after, the elephants might have. But I'm sure it would be a little bit difficult for them to feed off of them. We see oxpeckers on rhinos. I obviously love rhinos, but rhinos have got a fair amount of hair around their ears and sort of around their tails, so they feed in that. I don't know why they don't go on the elephants. It's actually, it's quite interesting. You'd think, you know, a tick is a tick, you know. Maybe they just don't like elephant ticks. Perhaps they've got something against them. Young lady at the back, why are you so thin? Can you see that? Okay, ribs look like they're showing a little bit. Not quite as round and as plump as this female is closest to us. Perhaps she's an older girl. Yeah, you can see even her hips are just showing slightly. But this is what winter is all about, I'm afraid. Obviously, we always talk about how raw and how sad nature can sometimes be, but it's of course as natural as it can get. And when the vegetation comes into winter, it goes yellow, it loses all its nutrients, and if you're not fit enough or you didn't eat enough the previous sort of few weeks, then you are going to maybe not make it through winter. And that's what happens a lot with the older mammals, well actually all the older animals, is that they don't necessarily make it through the winter. It's a good way to naturally cull the populations, though. It's very, very important to have disease, to have drought, to have predators, to have rain, to have all these things. It's all very important for controlling the populations. But we'll keep going around. I think I'm going to start on quarantine, and then we'll start our official competition of the birds. I'm going to send you across to the Mara with Jamie, and she is on an afternoon bumble.
I'm on an afternoon bubble, I guess. Afternoon bubble. It's possible to say the word bubble in an angry tone of voice. I don't know if you've ever tried to do that. That's the point that I've got to this afternoon, trying desperately to search for lions. And it's so luck of the draw at times here, because you can't really track. You can't get off the vehicle. The road network is perplexing at times, to say the least. And as a result, you find yourself playing a game of guesswork and the occasional sort of lucky moment where you happen upon lions. Yes, of course, there are certain lion prides that we know better, and we know some of their secret places. But even then, it doesn't always work out that well. I'm looking for the two young boys that we followed 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen them in a while, and I wonder, I mean, the last time they were here, or the last time I saw them, this entire plain was teeming with wildebeest. And we've got these topi and we've got some zebra, but essentially there's not much else. No sign of the migration here. And I suppose those boys must have followed it. There's no reason to keep them here. They don't have a territory. It's So I suspect that they probably just followed along with the wildebeest, which is what young male lions do. I think this is where this is somewhere close to where I saw them the last time. And Veerman and I have devised a strategy that goes something along the lines of warning the other person whenever we see another dead wildebeest and sort of going, hold your breath, and we're past. Because there's every now and again you come across a scene where the lions have obviously been, and because the scavengers are so satiated, there's just decomposing wildebeest everywhere that haven't been touched, and there'll be 5 or 6 of them all dotted around you. It's a strange experience. Now what? Where shall we go? Am I right about the boys following the wildebeest, or are they hiding here in the grass somewhere? Mac, I haven't not had a dream about an animal in probably the last 7 or so years. It is essentially all I dream about. There'll be nuances, of course. A couple of days ago, just before the TV show, I had a dream that we had, the only sighting that any of us had was a leopard with cubs in somebody's backyard. And to get there, we had to drive around their swimming pool, and we had to try and get their children to be quiet, because we'd found the leopards at night and the children were sleeping, but then the children wanted to come out and play in the swimming pool. And we couldn't get her on camera, and the last shot we had was of her climbing over the garden wall. That's pretty much my life every single night. So yes, I dream about finding animals. I dream about struggling to find animals and driving around searching in the dark. I dream about animals all the time. It's all I dream about. I wonder what Byron dreams about. Perhaps it's birds in the sky.
Now look at this, everyone. This is fascinating. 3 adult Bateleur in a tree. I've never seen 3 of them together like this. But they all have adult plumage. Those beautiful red faces and a black and a bit of brown. Apparently Jamie was wondering what I dream about. Jamie. Oh dear. I'm not sure. Don't think I know you well enough yet, Jamie, to tell you that. Anyway, let's get back to these beautiful Bateleur. Now I'm just trying to see if there is a way to tell male and female when they are perched. I think it's got something to do with the white on the you might see, I think that middle one is a female and the one on the right is a male. Now because from what I can see, that the dark black coloration is quite clear on the male, and then that light almost white coloration on the wing on that middle Bateleur, that is the female. And then I can't see the other one. I think the one on the left is also a male, but it does appear to possibly be a bit younger. Looks a little smaller. Is it just sitting in the shadow? Or that could also be a female, I think. So possibly 2 females and a male, but that middle one is definitely a female. She's got that light coloration, almost white coloration on the primary feathers, those wings, and then the male next to her on the right you can see is completely black. It's quite interesting. I've never seen 3 of them perched so closely together. Beautiful birds. I really enjoy seeing the Bateleur. Still quite a strong breeze at the moment. The wind is blowing. Typical August, September winds in this area. It does get quite windy this time of year. Lovely to see those Bateleur perched up in that tree. Donnell, you are right. With raptors, the females are generally larger than the males. That's 100% right, Donnell. And it looks like that one in the middle, she's definitely, from what I can see, she looks bigger than the one on the right. But as I said, the middle one and the one on the right, they definitely look like full-grown adults. The one on the left still looks a little bit smaller, but it's reached adult plumage. So you can see, I mean, the young Bateleur are completely brown in coloration. So maybe still a young one that's just reached adult plumage. Not quite full-grown just yet. Possibly still get a bit bigger. And that would make sense. That would make sense as to why we had 3 of them sitting in a tree together. Wonderful birds. Just balancing on that branch. Now the Bateleur, the interesting thing with the Bateleur is they are scavengers. So they do tend to get to carcasses before other birds when they are looking for food. They'll fly down before the vultures and that, try to get a bit of food, and then move off once those large vultures arrive. But they would also try and catch their own food. Look at that, that's interesting. Look at that interaction. I've never seen that before, almost like it was cleaning the other one. Now they would also catch small mammals and possibly birds. And as I've told you before, fruit, nuts and mice. We always used to say, no, that's not true, but maybe. I suppose they don't eat fruit and nuts, but definitely mice, little rodents. We used to write that for James Henry when he would ask us what the animal ate, whatever animal it was. We always ended with fruit, nuts and mice, just to irritate him slightly, because we loved him so much. It's a really nice surprise to see three adult Bateleur in a tree like that. But definitely the female in the middle, the male, big or full-grown male on the right, and then it looks as if it is a male on the left too, but I think a younger one that's just reached adult plumage. Now, Tayla's been spending some time at the dam, at Wildebeest Dam, and apparently she has some wonderful antelope to show you.
I'm worried that we're going to run out of animals to show you within the next half an hour, because everyone seems to be moving out of the area which we can go. But if you were watching on the dam cam, you may have seen some Nyala mating, which is quite interesting. I suspect that that's the culprit over there, the male that was mating with one of the females. And you see how he just sort of gave a wide berth there because there was another male Nyala that looked as if he would perhaps take a stroll over to his mate. He doesn't seem too impressed by that. He was just sort of showing him, hey, this girl's been taken. Don't even come around here, you're going to find yourself in trouble. There's some beautiful Nyala bulls. We're actually very, very lucky. They hang around this area. Oh, he's sneaking in again. You see, he's just creeping up from the side there. But if this bull has already mated with this female, I can only suspect that he's already fended off some contenders. Now, this morning I was telling you how we very briefly had a sighting of a Nyala bull's a bachelor herd, and there was one that had an injury on his shoulder, obviously from fighting with another Nyala. And that's actually quite uncommon. I didn't quite get to finish. But these bulls are sort of very placid in the way that they determine dominance amongst one another. They obviously do the beautiful display by erecting all the hair on their body, all that white sort of ridge of hair on their backs, and curling up their tails and their sort of their chest hair, if you will, that beard that they have going down from their chin and down to their chest, that all stands up nice and straight. And it's a beautiful dominance display. And then they stiffen themselves up and they do these very big sort of exaggerated steps to show how big and strong they are. And normally if you get one or two, because sometimes you can have 3 or 4 Nyala bulls circling around each other doing this dominance display, the youngsters, the less experienced and the smaller ones will sort of fall out and just leave the larger, bigger bulls of similar size. And then sometimes it can end up in a bit of a battle. I've been lucky. I have seen a couple of Nyala fights in my life. It's not a very common thing to come across. It's quite impressive, actually. And the way that their horns are shaped, they actually hook horns quite easily and they push and shove each other around. But you can see he keeps himself between his mate and, of course, that other Nyala bull in the distance. And when she's thirsty, apparently he's thirsty too. What a good husband. Of course, I'm just teasing. But that reflection is lovely, don't you think? Not quite the normal reflection that we're used to. It's almost like it's the animal silhouetted. And that could be quite an interesting photo if you actually flipped it upside down, I think. Well, that's my opinion, of course, as well. I like the stranger types of things. Very, very pretty. And of course those are just the ripples from a combination of the wind, and there's also a couple of insects around sitting on the surface of the water. Where's Mr. and Mrs. Blacksmith Lapwing? They could help and collect some of those insects and eat them. But they're coming down for a drink. Oh, and I think this could be quite an interesting scene to sort of follow here. Because that younger bull, I suspect it's a younger bull. It's hard to tell. He doesn't quite look, he's just coming back from the tree line towards the dam again. He doesn't quite look as strong in terms of the width of his shoulders. Here we go. Reacting straight away. You might be a bit preoccupied with all the oxpeckers that are on you. That could be a distraction. I know that they're going to the girl. And straight away a contender turning and walking away. Yeah, you see, he does look a bit taller. Similar horn sort of length, but I don't think he's quite filled out. Now, I don't know, I can't remember that. I haven't actually spoken about Nyala and their breeding habits for quite a long time, so now I've got to really rack up the information. But if I'm not mistaken, the gestation period for the Nyalas, it's about 7 months or so. Normally with most of these antelope, it's anywhere between 6 and 8 months, but with the Nyala, I remember it being 7 months, or somewhere like. But if I am mistaken, please let me know. I do apologize. Like I said, I'm not digging in the filing cabinets from way back when. It's been a while since I've seen mating in Nyala. And they don't, well, she's very nervous. See that she keeps hopping. I think she's sunk into the mud there and got a bit of a fright. Come on, girl, catch up with the rest of the herd, which are off in the distance. She looks quite excited. Ooh, I really want to see a bit of a battle. Now, Sid, you're wondering, how do you tell the difference between a Nyala and a kudu? I wish I had a kudu here to show you, but perhaps they come down a little bit later for a drink, and then I can show you exactly. But out of the trachylephids, the kudu is the larger one of the antelope that we see here. Out of the kudu, out of the Nyala, and then the bushbuck being the smallest. So kudu much taller. Also, they don't have that dark chocolate brown on them. They're predominantly sort of a grey color. They've got the white white vertical stripes though. They've also got very similar markings on their face, but the horn structure with the males is completely different. The male kudu horns spiral. They really do, where they get the trachylephids, that whole family of spiraled horned antelope. The kudu, it definitely rings true. Females don't have horns like the Nyala, but again, so there's a color difference, there's a size difference, and then the patterns are slightly different too. The kudu aren't quite as fluffy. They do have that same sort of beard going down from their chin to their chest. That's also there, but they sort of lack that ridge of hair that goes along their backs. But hopefully, Sid, will be able to find a kudu, because they're really amazing animals. But they're moving, and you know what happens when the animals move, so do we. And like I said, I think this is going to be exciting. What do you think, Senzo? We're not chasing after leopards and lions this afternoon, but we're going to follow a mating pair of Nyala and someone who's trying to sneak in from the back. Will he be sneaky enough though? I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see, won't we? Okay, now we've got to try and turn Wendy in this. Well, we know that that's not going to happen too easily. Oh, though, Wendy, you seem to obviously turn to the left, to the left, to the left, a little bit better than to the right. Okay, let's carry on. I don't know why I had to sing a little Beyonce there. So ridiculous. Okay, let's go back up the way we've just come from. Now, I said we were going to do birding. We'll get there, I promise you. Once the Nyala disappear and we can't follow them anymore, then we'll move on to the next category. Sounds like Tristan and Peter are hard at work trying to sort out the problems with Wendy. You know, I might have to kick her tires again. That seems to work when she gives us a bit of hassles, although I don't have my steel-toed boots on today, so it might hurt. She's not letting her out of her sight. Slow down now. Racing on. Every time she jumps, he does. And I'm sure she might be feeling a little bit excited too. She doesn't look like a particularly old female. She looks very well and healthy. Now, I'm trying to remember, the females, I think, like with other antelope, are normally mature within, 2 or 3 years old, somewhere around there, maybe even slightly younger. The males take much longer to mature. I suppose for an Nyala, it might be the same as a kudu, or just the same as all the trachylephids. I'm now trying to use my kudu knowledge. So I would say between maybe 5 and 6 years old, and a Nyala bull, before he's sexually mature and potentially stands a chance at mating with the females. And he's a lovely fella. He's not small. And the hornbill also running at the back there. You may have just very quickly seen it. Beautiful white tips on his horns. He's a lovely looking fella. And here comes the other one. I actually want to show you here. He's beautiful horn size, but you can't compare him to the bull that's obviously won the title. Look how small his body is. He hasn't really got much muscle on his shoulders or even on his hindquarters. I definitely think there's a size difference, yeah? So sorry, boy, even though you've got lovely, beautiful horns, that doesn't matter. You need to be the whole package. Especially, it's very tough life out here. But he's not giving up. You give him A for persistence and patience. Maybe he's going to try and wear the other fella out and then move on in and take over. They're beautiful coloration. They're one of the most striking antelope in Africa. They really are. And off he goes. Let me get a better position. Although, actually, no, I think we're in a good spot because they're going to pop out into the next gap now. If I move, we might get stuck behind some African wattles. So there's the ewe again. Christy, you've said that you love their markings. And they're very important to have. When you're an animal, we were talking about it this morning. The more spots and stripes and colorations you have, or it could have been yesterday afternoon, the absolute better. Helps with camouflage, and we've been trapped behind those African wattles. I think we just, regardless of where we go, it might be a tough thing to view. I think she's trying to find the rest of the herd now. She obviously came back for a drink. She's slightly separated. Probably try and find the rest of the females that she was with. Just following very slowly, very casually. This reminds me of sort of how FBI agents would potentially follow a suspect. He's not being very sort of stealth-like about it, is it? very bad FBI agent. Right, so we've lost our honeymoon couple, and hopefully we'll catch up with them a little bit later, but let's go across to Brent now, and he's not following animals, he's following some cars.
Yes, can you believe we are following vehicles? So we're probably about 15 kilometers from where those cheetah were seen this morning. So taking Dave and my round trip today to over 100 kilometers. But we are hoping that it is going to be worthwhile, and we are really, really far from where we started our journey today. And let us hope. I can see them already. This is the first time, by the way, that I have seen the 5 boys. I can see some whitish bellies. Let's stop and get a long distance visual before we get a little bit closer. Who knows? Maybe we've been misled, and they're actually other cheetah. No, I would say that's definitely the 5 boys. And even better, they're looking peckish. So let's get in a bit closer. So as far as I know from my chatting with Scott and everything, this is the furthest to the southeast the 5 boys have ever been seen. So we were looking way down there, like 15 kilometers away. And we did see a leopard on our way through, but unfortunately the leopard was in a very steep drainage where we weren't able to get signal. So it seems like it's a spotty day for Dave and I. And there's a report of another leopard not too far from here. But I think we're going to definitely stick it out with the 5 boys for now. Now, as I said, this is the first time I'm actually going to spend time with them. Scotty's been out here, and we've been focused on the lions. So Scott's on leave at the moment, so Dave and I are very excited to spend some time with the 5 boys. Now, we have 5 male cheetah. Unfortunately, though, there doesn't seem to be much to eat around here. And the fact that they've travelled that distance already is very exciting. And I'm pretty sure they're going to keep moving. And with those hollow bellies, they are looking a mite bit peckish. And as I say that, one of them is striding out from the others. Hello, B. Wilson. B. Wilson is wondering, is this what the Mara looks like when there is no migration? Indeedy, it does. Generally, there's quite a lot more grass. The migration has been through here already and munched through the grass. Remember, this is coming to you 100% live from Kenya. We are with the 5 Musketeers, the largest ever male cheetah coalition in record. Now, I haven't seen a D'Artagnan yet. Now, of course, D'Artagnan is the collared male. So here come the 4. So I assume D'Artagnan is at the back somewhere there. Now, remember, if you want to ask us any questions on this live safari, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter is the best way to get hold of me. Now, Mr. P in Canada is wondering, do I know how these 5 boys are related? Mr. P, I don't. I know they're not all related, which is quite unusual. Normally, cheetah coalitions are related. But after chatting to the Mara Cheetah Project, there seems to be a very short window of about 9 months when young males are nomadic, where they will form coalitions with other nomadic male cheetah. Now, one must remember that animal behavior is not species specific, but area specific. So the fact that the cheetah do this here they might not do it in South Africa, they might not do it in Botswana, but they certainly do it here in the Mara, and you couldn't ask for a nicer spot if you were a cheetah than this vast open expanse filled of Thompson's gazelles and the like to take advantage of. And of course you must remember that even in the non-migration season, this area is prolific with animals. There are resident Thompson's gazelles and resident Topi, Grant's gazelles, Impala, Wildebeest, zebra. Okay, I'm going to scoot up to make sure I can see what's coming ahead of them. Now, when following any big cat on the hunt, the most important thing is to try predict where they're going, And you want to be where the hunt ends, not where it begins. Especially with cheetah, because they can walk such vast distances and also run for up to 200-300 meters. So while I go have a look what's over the crest, maybe there's a Tommy, maybe there's not. Let's go back to Byron and see what he's doing back in South Africa.
So I'm still driving around, having a look for... Actually, I'm scanning the trees at the moment to see if we can possibly find a little owl. The trees are nice and bare, it might be quite easy to spot them. But that's exciting that Brent's got all those cheetah. That must be amazing. So hopefully he gets another view of them. I think he is repositioning at the moment, so that would be amazing. That's lovely. It's wonderful to see cheetah up in the Mara in those open grasslands. Perfect habitat for them. I'm also driving along the edge of this drainage line just off to my right. Now this is a lovely habitat for leopard. So you never know. You never know. We could get lucky and possibly find a leopard lying down here somewhere, resting in the shade. Forever the optimist. What do you...
I think it's a lion.
Wow. No. Is it kudu or lion, Seb? Through there.
You know, so only one walking first.
There we go.
It looks really like a lioness.
So it's just some kudu that Seb spotted just off in the distance over there. They're quite far. Just moving. They're quite far. Just moving through the bush. But it sounds like Brent has repositioned for those cheetah. And he's got some little creatures that are heading in the direction of those cheetah. Let's go have a look.
Well, fortunately for the little creatures, they have spotted the cheetah. So the banded mongoose are alarm calling, and some of them are scuttling off now. Look at them go! They're going, Dave, they're running! Dave, look at them go! They're going to run down, find a burrow, and I don't think even a cheetah is fast enough to catch a banded mongoose when he's got convenient hole to disappear into. But those 5 boys are walking straight at us now, and I've got up onto the ridge and I've had a look ahead. There's no potential prey yet. There actually is that a Grant's gazelle in the distance there? There's a Grant's gazelle, but quite far away still. But there we go, you can see they are very hungry at the moment. Their bellies are quite concave. Now, there are other game drive vehicles around here enjoying these incredible animals. If you do hear vehicles starting up or see a vehicle come through frame, don't worry, they are all enjoying the cheetah just as we are. Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya with the largest coalition of male cheetah ever recorded. Cape Turtle is wondering, will the male cheetah fight amongst themselves? Most definitely, and they have. On the Migration TV special last weekend, Scott had these 5 boys boxing continuously over 2 hours amongst each other. Obviously still trying to sort out the hierarchy of all of them. And there is D'Artagnan. Look at the mongoose disappear behind. There's D'Artagnan, the collared male. And I'm not sure of all the others' names just yet. But they are very hungry. We are in the right spot. And this is going to be a very exciting afternoon. And of course, Dave, myself and Nicholas, our ranger, we're probably going to decide. I think we're going to spend the night with these cheetah. So we will stick with them, see what they get up to after the park closes. And even up until tomorrow morning. Philippa is wondering, what is the conservation status of cheetah these days? They are CITES I think they're still CITES 2, so vulnerable or of most concern. They're in certain, depends where they are in Africa. In certain parts, there'll be CITES 1, which is endangered. There are very, very few of them left. Oh, they're about to be attacked. Incoming lapwings. Whoa, there must be a nest nearby. Lapwings just making sure the cheetahs know who exactly is boss. With wings, they are able to maneuver a little bit more easily. Oh, isn't this absolutely spectacular? Mr. P in Canada is wondering, are there any female cheetah to mate with? And indeed there are quite a few, and these guys are still quite young, so they're probably still establishing themselves. But in this area alone, we've got Amani's 2 daughters, Amani, Malika, and I'm sure there's 1 or 2 I've forgotten. But in this very area, I've seen Amani not too far from here. Amani's daughters have been seen quite close to them before, and Malika is actually not too far from where we are at the moment. Okay, well, it seems like they're going to get on the move again, and we're going to do the same to try position ourselves in the best spot to see what's coming up ahead. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, cheetah. Oof, that was a big one. Lots of dust out here. Quite a strong wind at the moment. But while we keep up with this cheetah, let's go back to Madam McCurdy.
So we managed to also fix the signal problem on Wendy, so well done everyone. So fantastic, as we can now drive forever, so we don't have to do our birding circuit. We'll save that for another day when we get really desperate. So we're driving around avoiding impalas that are leaping in front of my car. We're just going on a bumble. I was actually coming past to check all the quarry trees to see if any of them have fruit on, but it seems as though there's no fruit just yet. Still tiny little bundles of joy that need to turn into flowers, and then after, I suppose, the pollination process, eventually they'll mature and become delicious, tasty fruits, which would be nice. There's loads of zebra tracks around here, so we might get a whole herd of zebra. It'll be quite nice. Hi, Impala. Let's be careful, there's lions around here, and I'm sure they're very hungry. As I say that, I see the colour drain out of some of their faces. Isn't that beautiful in the golden light? The light is turning that beautiful colour quite early. What is the time? Still very early, it's not even 5 o'clock yet. Yeah, you also heard that. No, it's not tea time just yet. Well, I suppose tea time is all the time for you when you're an antelope and you're constantly feeding. And they're just moving through here, all keeping a lookout. I'm sure this is one of the very many herds that roams Impala Plains, and perhaps they are aware of the lions' whereabouts. And hopefully they'll move away. I'm sure they'll go up towards quarantine a little bit later this evening. All the animals like to congregate around there. But we shall carry on and see what else we're going to do. Now, I want to sort of stay in the vicinity of where these lions are, not driving into where the den site is, but Mom's probably not going to move those little ones, especially not at night. We know that they typically move their young cubs during the day. If they are going to move them, she just moved them to a new den site. She should probably be there for a little while. But the adults, the rest of the pride and the older cubs, they still need to eat. So they're not going to hang around there. They will move off, and they will definitely try and catch something. And so will the mother of the cubs. She will leave those little ones unattended. They're in a very nice spot. There won't be too many things around that I think would go wandering around there. Well, especially not with the smell of lion all about. So then they'll catch something, she'll eat, she'll then go back to the cubs and suckle them as frequently as necessary. But I'm hoping that they do get on the move. It's obviously nice and cool. Hopefully they get on the move and we can actually spot them. But let's go back across to Byron. It seems as though he had the same animal Brent had earlier.
We've got some baboons, everyone. We've just found a troop that have been moving. They just moved away from twin dams, from the dam itself. Let's see if I can get another view of them. There's some beautiful big jackalberry trees around here. So a perfect little spot for these baboons. Also near the drainage line. A lot of the time the baboons sleep in these big trees. There's one straight ahead, Seb. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's a bit better. We might see. Sometimes they are shy and they move away quite quickly from us. A few of them. Strange animals and baboons. They're quite entertaining to watch. And they're just warming up in the afternoon sun. It's a beautiful afternoon. There's beautiful light. This afternoon light, around about now, for photographers, is the ideal time to start taking photos. The thing is, you've just got to find a subject. Just this wonderful golden natural light. I do enjoy it. One of my friends teases me about my photos and says that they all come out a little bit yellow. But I like rich, warm colors. But I suppose photography is an art form, so everybody's different and prefers different colors. Darnell, you said this is wonderful. It's your first time seeing baboons on drive. That's great. I see them just moving down into the drainage line. Now, Francis, you asked if the baboons are vegetarians or herbivores, rather. Francis, no, they're not. Now, the baboons are classified as omnivores, actually. There's two of these ones running past us there, down at the bottom. The rest of the troop, I think, is going to be following shortly. So, Francis, they are classified as omnivores. They feed on vegetation and plant material and berries, but they will also go and feed on, we've known some male baboons, big male baboons, to kill and hunt Impala lambs and feed on the meat. And they eat just about anything, the baboons. So they are omnivores. Can actually hear some of them screaming further up the drainage line in Mulwati. Well, there goes the troop of baboons. We're going to continue and see what else we can find around the dam. Let's head back across to Brent, who still has those cheetah brothers.
Well, isn't this exciting? Now, of course, one of the animals that the cheetah will try avoid is baboons. And I've seen that cheetah chased by baboons many times. And so they've stopped at that Balanites tree for a good set of scent marking. Oh, one's decided it's time to take a break. A little roll around. Oh no, two of them have decided it's time to take a break. But they are very hungry today. Greek is wondering, do you get king cheetah in Kenya? No, you do not. Now, the king cheetah is a recessive gene that is endemic to southern Africa, and actually the last king cheetah seen in the wild was in very close to where Djuma is. Now there has been one rare golden cheetah, so a cheetah without any spots, that was seen in Kenya about 5 or 6 years ago, but not in this area down towards the coastal plain. But no king cheetah in Kenya. Never. Oh, let me just move for you there quickly, Dave. Now, there's a Thompson's gazelle, but I think he's very much spotted them just over that cheetah's back. Now, as I said, there are lots of other vehicles here enjoying. There we go. There we go. Hello, Tommy. Hello, cheetah. That's very cool. But that Thompson's has definitely seen them. And Tommies are quite fleet of foot, so the chances of that cheetah being able to have a chance with that Tommy when it's this open and that's been spotted. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, which way are you going to go? Are you going to venture further south? Now, to the south, there are a coalition of 2 males that I've spent some time with, and they do cross into Tanzania. Oh, what's going on? Are they playing? One's at the back. Or have they decided they're going to try their luck? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've got all 5 visual. There's old D'Artagnan bringing up the rear. Okay, let's move quickly. Now, I did a quick loop up ahead to see if there's any potential prey. There's only some zebra down there. The closest potential prey is some wildebeest, but they are still quite far away. So I think these guys have been walking for a while. There's a strong possibility they might decide to just take a rest up here and then get moving a little bit later. But let's have a look. Now, as I said, there is a Thompson's gazelle up on the crest there, but I'm pretty sure they're not too interested. That Tommy is very well aware that they are here. Oh, they're going to jump on each other? Or is there going to be a fight? What was going on there? Maybe a little bit of dominance still being sorted out amongst these boys. They changed direction. I thought they were going to head further to the north. But they've sidled and they're going to start sneaking into those other males' territory, which could be very, very interesting. Oh, let's have a stretch. Use the convenient termite mount. Okay, well, while they're moving, we're going to do the same. And, oh, there's a flop down. But while they flop down, let's go across to Jamie with some magnificent Mara Ellies.
Some magnificent Mara Ellies and some magnificent Mara clouds as well. We finally managed to find both a signal and an animal at the same time, which I'm actually quite proud of our achievement. And there we go. Look at this old gentleman of the Mara, accompanied by his 2 younger, as they term them in this particular part of the world, 2 younger Askaris, to help to keep him company in his, not quite a dotage, but somewhere around there. One of them's been having a little bit of a mud bath, and has stopped and scratched himself a few times, but it's really the gentleman on the right that is the true attention drawer. I think the question comes from Vanetsrak. Did I get that right, Kirst? The nets? Okay, I give up. I give up and apologize. And oh, how poor! I nearly forgot your question. I was so busy trying to work out what name I was being fed. He wants to know how poor an elephant's eyesight is. It's pretty poor. It's not very good at all. Movement really does attract their attention.